Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Hey
gentlemen.
guys.
Oh man, this is exciting.
All right. Well, we have 50 minutes until 16:15 UTC. And with that, let's get started. So I'll kick off the first thing here. I'm Brandon Fancher. My Telegram is at Brandon Fancher. I am not running as a representative. I will only be participating as a voter in this round. Who's next?
I'm Joshua Seymour, and my Telegram is at Joshua Seymour. I will be participating as a candidate in this round. And I have a spiel if you guys want to hear it, but if we're just
Let's declare candidacies first.
yeah, if we're just declaring candidacies, I'll just pass it on.
Cool. All right. Maxi Graham.
Hey, yeah, so I'm Max Infeld, and I'm running for candidate as well. And yeah, just for the experience. Not sure what that fully entails, but I guess I'll find out.
Cool. Last
Hey,
but not
guys.
least.
Yeah, my name is Michael Gallo. My Telegram is super semiotic. This is my first time into this trial election, and I'm not running for candidacy this time. Just observing and checking it out.
All right, great. So we've got two people running as a candidate and two that are not. With that, if you guys agree, we'll spend most of our time honing in on the two candidates and their platforms. So let's dive in here. I'm reviewing the schedule as we go. This says that each candidate has an opportunity to share their background, passion, and vision. Candidates are encouraged to primarily address three concepts. Number one, why do you want to be elected? What do you believe about the project that allows you the opportunity to create value? Number two, how will you execute successfully? What qualifies you to do the job at hand? And number three, what specifically do you plan to allocate your funding to? So, yeah, I would open it up to, I don't know, Josh, Max, which of you want to go first here?
Max, is this your first trial election?
Oh yeah, certainly.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna yield to you if you'd like to have the floor.
Sure. Yeah. What would it be? I mean, there's a lot of questions there. Do you want to do question by question, or you feel I should just rant for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever?
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want, I can pose the questions to you individually, or you can just give us your platform, your spiel as you wish.
Yeah, I think it'd be better just do question by question, and we could just take turns answering them. You guys okay with
Great.
that?
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you facilitating this would be awesome too. I'm totally down for that.
Awesome. All right. Then Max, why do you want to be elected?
Oh man, I'm such a huge fan of EOSIO and DAX and the future of governance. I'm mostly here just to support these greater concepts that I think society will benefit from in the long term. Yeah, I really think I want to be elected just to go through the process and just share the excitement of what this already is and the direction where it's going.
Excellent. And another part of that same question here is, what do you believe about the project that allows you the opportunity to create value?
I really believe it's a good way to distribute funds, and it's something we've been seeking for since the early days of EOS and other EOSIO blockchains. So it's a needed tool to plug into a lot of other very successful, very awesome projects.
Great. Let me ask this. You both are recording, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Then Josh, over to you. I'll pose the same questions. Why do you want to be elected?
Sure. I'm just gonna add a little background in there. So I was paying attention before EOS launched, and it's the only project I've ever been excited about that's in Coin Market Cap. Just being honest, I can really resonate with the idealism that Dan portrays in a lot of his projects, and particularly in More Equal Animals. And so that's a big part of why I'm here. I've never been super involved in the EOS community before the beginning of Eden on EOS started to form. I did participate in the previous trial election, which was an amazing experience. And since then, I've really taken a deep dive into just immersing myself into the EOS ecosystem and getting involved as involved as I can be in this Eden on EOS movement or organization that's forming. I guess maybe that's been a couple of months. That was probably May when we did the last one, middle of May. So I've learned quite a lot. I've gotten involved in a lot of different focus groups, and I've been making as many connections as possible and just being as helpful as I can. So if I was to be elected in this election or an upcoming election, I'll just mention some things that I'm involved in now and that I would continue to do regardless of being elected. So I'm just going to mention a couple things off the top of my head. So there's various different focus groups going on and various people who are leading different projects. And I have a few pitches of some of those projects that I've created like little slides and pitch decks for. We don't have to get into them, but if we run out of time and somebody wants to see some of them, I can get into them. But one of them that I think is really important for this election is Chris Barnes is leading out on establishing an Eden proxy and beginning to do the groundwork to establish a better relationship with all of the existing BPs, those that are Eden members, consulting those, but also kind of behaving with the assumption that the BPs want to support what Eden is doing, rather than maybe a different type of assumption that may be a little more combative or enemy construct. So I really want to support that. And if I was to be elected, I would work with Chris and the other group that's been built around that's forming to get that initiative going. It doesn't really require a lot of money per se, but there are some specific things we could do with the money that might support that. I'm communicating I sparked a conversation with Gray Mass behind the scenes, and their team has had discussions, and some notes have been presented to me by Aaron Cox, and I'm really excited about this particular project. Gray Mass alone couldn't do the project the entire project themselves. At least that's what their view is, but they can develop parts of it, and they're willing to advise on it. And it may even correlate with what the Clarion team is doing for Clarion down the road in the roadmap. It's a user management system. And I have a presentation, and I could show an example in the market that's kind of similar to what this could become, but the big difference would be this would be a more decentralized approach to it. And it works really well with what Gray Mass is doing, at least certain components of it. And the money from this election technically could be used to begin development of one of the components of the larger project. It wouldn't be enough to complete it most likely, but it'd be enough to get going. There's also a marketing and communications focus group that is formed. And there's many people that are taking initiative in that realm. One project that just recently emerged from that focus group is Randall Rowland, who's here in the election today. He's going to be, regardless of the outcome of the election, he's going to be moving forward on creating an EOS support team or service, which may be a first thing to actually be implemented in a public blockchain community. So just really opening up opportunities for people who already like to provide support, but just taking things to the next level in that regard. I also have a pitch deck on this if we wanted to get into it. There's also a focus group that a few of us have initiated. I believe, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Giuseppe, I believe is how you say it, is really leading out on, because that's his expertise. And it's kind of a project proposal how can we better organize projects pre and post election, prioritize them, allow Eden members to share feedback and comments and sentiment about it, as well as the broader EOS community. And that's, again, these are just things that I'm aware of that are going on, that I'm involved in. I'm going to continue to move these things forward regardless of the outcome today. With the marketing group, one particular community member who specializes in marketing has been leading out on that. In the community, he's known as Waxa. His first name is actually Chris. And there's been a lot of action happening. We just had a meeting on that a few days ago, and the outcome of that focus group is looking pretty promising, aside from the whole EOS customer support type of initiative that I mentioned. And one specific thing that we're looking to contribute to that initiative is a Telegram channel and a chat bot. We have a lot of groups, but the groups are very noisy. And I would like to deploy channels that are integrated with the groups. We already have one going on for the Eden on EOS group. We have a corresponding channel that's integrated, but we're not using it right now. I have a proposal that I'm looking to submit to Brandon here in the Clarion team. A very simple proposal for, essentially the Clarion team is kind of the shadow government right now. So in order to improve the messaging with Eden itself and also in the EOS community, I think those are two things that could be done just to help people have a better experience discovering EOS or discovering Eden on EOS, and also onboarding new people either in the EOS community or even Eden members. It's just a simple thing we could do that I think would make a big difference. So that's a couple of things on my list, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I think these elections are really thrilling experience, and I'm want to hear a little bit more, Max, about what kind of initiatives you'd like to see happening in the EOS community, and anything that you guys want to get into from this point. So that's kind of my spiel.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind diving into that. Hey, Brandon, was there a follow-up question to that one as well, or?
There are more questions, but honestly, you know, a lot of these are already getting answered. So I'd say take a couple minutes if you want to, just to fill in any other context, maybe even to address Josh's question to you. And then we can, you know, go through the other questions and see what we have and haven't covered.
Yeah, so I should probably add some more context to how I fit into EOS.io and what we've done so far and projects I've been involved with. So yeah, I was one of the early guys that was validating the snapshot. So I think it was all BPs, and then like randomly I just happened to be the last one that wasn't paired up with the BP. And then later on I became supporting CSX.io. So I've been working with them significantly in getting the nodes up and running, and not directly, but through marketing and through other community engagement. I've also been part of the Crown community, which is really interesting. Crown with a K, so Crown, it's a Telegram Crown token. And with that, we did I think we did one of the biggest airdrops on EOS, and it was extremely engaging. So we dropped to all these different communities every month. We picked one of our new favorite communities and allowed those users to claim the tokens. And so we wanted to reward who was the most engaging in those communities. And that's something I truly love, is community engagement. So fast forward, one of the most amazing proposals of Crown led to the creation of something called MetaDAC, and also utilizing EOS DAC software so we launched another DAC, and this came out of a project called DACathon. So the funding from Crown Token led to MetaDAC through this event called DACathon, where we collectively decided what the DAC should be called, what the name should be. It comes out of this concept that I was extremely frustrated with traditional conferences and how they weren't really adding value. It's kind of like a gamble. Like, you might be able to meet someone that you can add to your team. You might actually you know, you might get to talk to the speaker. There's just so much money that goes into it. So I've hosted physical events. I'm one of the founders of EOS SF, which is now defunct. Our tech ended up passing away, Ali, who ran Lumios. So we actually had a terrestrial physical location for our BP, and had regular meetings, like so much onboarding, demonstrating apps. We even traveled and gave lots of really great stuff to onboard people into EOS. I think personally, I've probably onboarded like 500 to 1,000 people into EOS in person. So anyway, back to DACthon just really quick. That led to this creation of the MetaDAC DAC, and basically with funding from there, we can offer those rewards and engage with prizes. So we've actually had a few successful events giving away, I'm guessing around $10,000 so far for those events. We did one on NFTs, yeah, some really awesome things came out of that. One of them, one of my favorites that was presented was consortium.vote, and it's on-chain voting solution. And there's all these other DACs that are already involved in there. And this is something that's being used by these various communities. Definitely worth checking out. And that's something that I'm going to be supporting with half of the funds. And there's a bunch of other projects that we kind of just want to update and kind of get them back to working. One of my favorite products that we built was called simpledistributions.io. So it uses the simple assets protocol and the NFT structure. And we made this before Atomic Assets came out. But right now we can issue NFTs to people and allow them to claim daily. So let's say you have a category of NFTs for Eden members. If they hold that one, they can go to this this interface that's totally working right now, and they can push a button and claim a reward based on whatever NFT they hold. So I would love to extend that into Atomic Assets as well. It works really good. We had John from Boyd.com support that, and just totally killed the smart contracts. It's awesome, great working project. And then back to consortium.vote. We've agreed with them to support that project as well, where on all these communities on consortium.vote, they'll be able to claim, Eden members will be able to claim, if they're an existing Eden member, it will check and say, yes, they're an Eden member. They'll be able to claim like a basic income for their participation. So just by being an Eden member, you could go to any of those communities. I will probably want to set an Eden one up there. It's a really awesome polling system for referendums, and there's great tokenomics and how it works. So I highly check that out. I could go on for days about other projects I'm working on and things I want to build, but yeah, I'm not. I talk less and build more, so that's why you don't see me in the chats, and I'm not typically engaging with the community. So yeah, behind the scenes, lots going on.
Excellent. I like that. Talk less, build more. It's kind of my philosophy too. Let's see. Michael, do you have any, before we go on to some of these other questions, has this triggered any questions for you? Anything you want to chime in on or ask?
Thanks for asking. Nothing too much. Is it Maxi? Max?
Just Max. Yeah.
Max. Yeah. Well, I'm interested in what you were saying about NFTs. I didn't quite grasp exactly what you're saying, but are you saying that by this candidacy you're going to be working on an NFT project, or that's just your background?
No, I'll definitely be working on supporting the Simple Distributions project. It's simpledistributions.io. You can check it out. If you hold a certain NFT, the user can claim. And so I want to upgrade that to Atomic Assets that came out. It's like the more evolved NFT platform. What we used for this for Eden. And with consortium.live, it's not an NFT project. It's just a regular token project with tokenomics. You can submit polls, and you can. I'm saying that with this money, I'd be using to add a feature to consortium.vote where us Eden members can go in and claim different community tokens.
Cool. Thanks.
I do have a question. Have you read Dan's book, Max, More Equal Animals?
Certainly have.
Well, I'll pose this to both of you. I'll pose it first to Josh. And it's kind of a weird question, but what is the most inspiring aspect of that that book for you? At least it comes to mind right now. What is your view on it and its role in society?
I like the final two chapters, transforming society and transforming yourself. That theme is very strong for me. I think it's a major journey that we're each on individually and collectively. And I like how a lot of the principles in the book, particularly independence, there's great examples of it in those two final chapters. So it just makes it very like practical and pragmatic. Particularly the transforming yourself part. I thought the examples in there were just very down to earth and applicable, and things that people could relate to, like, oh, here's how I can create more independence in my personal life. So I hope that the Eden on EOS collective puts more emphasis on those kind of things, aside from what we're specifically doing with EOS and the software and that kind of stuff.
Nice. Max.
Yeah, the concepts that really stuck out to me about the book definitely was independence and how we need to become more autonomous and more independent. Like that resonates with me so much. I also like it transcends these concepts of like equality and equity, and it kind of gives a practical aspect to what that can look like. And I definitely resonate with that as well. When you give people tools to better themselves and you create engagement around that, I feel like that's, everyone wins from that type of philosophy. And they can get actual value for their participation engagement. So, I think that's why we're all here. And yeah, truly, it's a killer book for sure.
Awesome. All right. So the next question here, how will you execute successfully? And what qualifies you to do the job at hand? I think that we have already covered some of that in just talking about what you've already done, both of you in the community. But starting with Max, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think my approach is I found this new pattern for this approach on how to build stuff. So rather than like dropping a bunch of money and like having a white paper and say we're going to do things a certain way, I more prefer just connecting modules that are existing and working, have functioning smart contracts. I've been in the crypto space since a very long time ago, since almost day one of Bitcoin. And this is, EOS, I think, is truly the EOS and EOS.io, I think, are some of the most unique, incredible things out there. And I want to bridge those to some other cryptocurrencies. I just want to give an example of how I bridge two communities without even writing a line of code. I became acquaintances with some of these, this one cryptocurrency community called SafeMoon. And after talking to their CTO for a while, extensively over a few days, I said, hey, there's this incredible solution that's from this EOS community. It's called P Network and P tokens. And so I started a Telegram group, brought them both in there. And then within 2 months, there's a SafeMoon on Ethereum. And that's going to come to Wax, and that's going to come to EOS. And that's 2 million users. I didn't write a single line of code, put them in the same room and made shit happen. So that's why I'll be successful. Thank you.
Nice. Josh.
For me, I think as far as being a representative and a consensus builder, I'm incredibly immersed in what's going on here, especially after the last trial election. And I think I'm in a unique position because of that immersion and focus. I think I probably have more time than any of you to dedicate to doing what needs to be done, being a community liaison, being available to deep dive. Like some of the stuff I'm going to be doing going forward, regardless of the election, is together with Chris and whoever else. I'm pretty sure we're going to be having extensive private meetings with as many of the BPs as we can, and then doing public interviews following those things to try to build a consensus and alliance and really make them look like great people, make them look like superstars, not just the Eden members that are BPs or have BP experience, but the ones that have been somewhat like vilified, but surprisingly are more on board with Eden than what we may realize, many of them. Just as an example. So I happen to be kind of I think kind of a right person in the right place at the right time, where I can really kind of move and shake and get things moving a little bit further. And I have the bandwidth and the time, like I said, which I think is one of the things that makes me unique. I mean, I do have other things going on in my life, but I just happen to see the depth of vision and the timing, and that if we take enough, or if those of us who can take enough massive and immediate action in this stage, what's happening, the momentum is going to snowball into a juggernaut. And I feel like it has infected me to play some kind of role in what's going on here. And I see the bigger picture of what Eden OS and Clarion OS are going to really allow, which is the main thing that's exciting me to be here. But we have to just take the next steps and get there.
Great. So one more time, you guys have addressed this a little bit in your discussions. I think Max more specifically. So I'll start with you, Josh, and then we'll give Max an opportunity to answer this. What specifically do you plan to allocate your funding to?
For me, I would give Chris the budget that he needs for the Proxy Alliance, which isn't a lot. I would give I would support Randall and what he wants to do to begin the bootstrap approach for the customer service. Eventually, it's going to become a platform, but we're going to bootstrap it in a simpler way to begin with, and that's not going to require too much money either. The thing that I would allocate the most money to is getting this this feature, beginning with a profile system that would be part of a much larger user management, is what I'm calling it, platform. It has a lot to do with like single sign-on service, OAuth 2 protocol probably would be used, and the profile system and the OAuth 2 solution need to exist together. But GrayMass has talked about it, and they're willing to begin development on that particular feature. And I'm probably willing to collaborate with others too. And so if they've got the interest and enthusiasm to do this, I think having this larger project, which I haven't formally pitched to you guys today, so you just have to kind of imagine what I'm saying. I could show you like a quick example in the marketplace. This thing would, I think, make a big dent in allowing the ecosystem within EOS, but outside of EOS, to begin adopting the use of EOS accounts for many different purposes. And one of the ones I'm excited about is just like how we go to the members portal and we sign in with our Anchor wallet. That should be very easy for me to deploy on a WordPress website, for example. There's other use cases, but that was kind of like what prompted me to bring that to them. And then it kind of just blew up into a very large project.
I personally would love to see the short. How long do you think it would take for you to show us what you were talking about showing us?
I'll just share. Hopefully Aaron doesn't get mad at me. When I developed the pitch deck, I used GrayMass's branding, which is just a natural thing for me to do. But this isn't like coming from the GrayMass team per se, and it hasn't been approved by the people that would need to approve these kind of things.
Noted.
So let me just bring it up here. Yeah, so
We have We have about 20 minutes. Just
Okay, I'll
FYI,
try to go.
guys.
I'll try to go through this really fast. Then hopefully you guys won't mind. This just running through it fast. So initially, this kind of started as the full OAuth 2 solution for EOS, and I mentioned I sparked this with Aaron. He talked to the team about it, and what he says is that the overall sentiment was that a system like this is definitely something we should have in the ecosystem. It allow Web 2 applications like the EOS community forums built on Discourse to offer blockchain-based sign-in capabilities using the chain itself as the source of identity rather than GitHub, Google, et cetera. And they think that OAuth 2 or something similar is the standard it should follow to provide the maximum compatibility with apps out in the wild today. And so it's really, in a sense, this would kind of take, we would go from beyond authentication to eventually a complete user management system. And so I'll at least present the features here, and we don't have to get into
Sure.
the rest of Aaron's thoughts on it per se, just because of the time that we have. If you guys want to, we can. But so
No, I
the
think
main
high level is
components,
good.
main components would be profile system. So a lot of what OAuth and other protocols do is allow you to authorize a user profile for use on a new platform. And when you log in with Google, for example, you're sharing your profile image, display name, metadata, and often an email address. And another feature would have to be plugins. And this is Aaron's words, but again, this is not like an official presentation from GrayMass or anything like that. Developers aren't going to want to have to build their own plugins to integrate into their own Web 2.0 applications. They're going to want to have something they can download and install into their platform. And so like one example would be if I wanted to enable this on a WordPress website.
Right.
The EOS forums, Discourse powered, are a good example of this. Since we want this running on the forums, we need to build a Discourse plugin. So that would be great if we could just log in on that with our EOS accounts, is what he's saying here. Each one of these will need to be maintained to some degree, all these different plugins and stuff. The other element here is ease of deployment. So what Aaron said is that the provider server portion of the OAuth implementation is going to need to be incredibly easy to run. While GrayMass would probably run this themselves publicly like they do other APIs, the way the software is built should make it easy enough so that other operators can run it too. And another feature would be proper design. I feel like some of this stuff is crossing over with Clarion. The UI prompts the user follows, the UI prompts that the user follows as they sign in and grant permissions to an external application will need to go through a moderate amount of design. And we need to ensure that the flow of the user experiences during sign-in is what users will understand. And then the final one here is account creation. And so beyond just allowing access to these external applications with existing EOS accounts in this example, we imagine many apps will also want to be able to onboard new users. So just logging, like we log in with our existing account on the Eden member portal, but we don't create an account right there in the member in that process. So one example in the marketplace that I found after that Aaron didn't know this, the team was like discussing, and I came upon this example from, it's called clerk.dev. And this, I guess I'll just give you one more thing from Aaron. Clerk goes to show how big of a project something like this could be. A lot of what they've built is similar to what this overall project could look like, with the major difference being that the source of truth for Clerk is a centralized database Clerk runs. And what we're talking about would be our source of truth would be on the blockchain. So there's more here, but probably Aaron isn't happy about me sharing this, so I'll just end it there for now. And so it turns out that Telos may already have some components of this, and there may be some collaboration. I think Aaron may be working on that, and hopefully I haven't shared more than what he would be happy with. It's sort of a new project or endeavor, but they're willing to advise on this, develop parts of it, and we can get started on at least one piece of it. And so that if I was randomly chosen, that's what I would dedicate the majority of the funds to, as well as kickstarting the EOS support thing and the Eden proxy, which don't require a lot.
Will that OAuth solution also be able to sign transactions for the user?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I would have to ask these
Okay.
guys what they would envision that doing.
Yeah. Great. Well, let me pose the same question to you, Max. I know you already
Yeah.
mentioned the consortium.vote and simple distributions. It was unclear to me whether that was half and half or
Oh,
what. So,
yeah, I'll clarify that for sure. I also want to clarify why why this why I want to build this solution. I should say why we are building the solution. Whether we get the funding or not, if consortium's already committed to it, we're going to support them with funding. So with consortium, the reason I came about using this as a solution for Eden was because of something that I was like a little bit troubled by. There's all these this insular group of friends that were coming in, and a lot of us are early EOS guys and involved in the communities in various capacities. And but beyond that, when I was trying to bring friends in, they're like, well, why would I do that? Like, what's the incentive? So I'm directly building incentive for you guys to be able to go to consortium.vote, learn about all these different EOSIO communities that already exist. They're already utilizing this tool, and you'll be able to click the claim button and you'll get that token from a pool that each of those communities. And I've written up specs. I don't want to go through it and how it works. It's just a bunch of words. But that's simply what's going to happen with that tool. There will now be an incentive for Eden people to come in and claim, and as well as tell newcomers that don't necessarily aren't part of our community and part of our network and see the greater vision and have read the book and all that. This will be another way for them to bring in trusted sources and directly earn tokens. So I'm doing right off the top half. I've committed half of that fund. I think it's going to be around I think the next quarter will be for transitioning from simple distributions to integrate Atomic assets into that. So we have an updated version. We built that before Atomic came out, so it really works well. But so few people use simple assets. Like Tops is using it. It turns out Voice is going to be using it, which is really bizarre. And so we'll be able to reward Voice members with basic income on certain NFTs. But I definitely want to update it for Atomic assets so people can run marketing campaigns where they give out a bunch of NFTs and then they can drop a community token to all those NFTs with Atomic as well. So then the other quarter, I'm not sure. I'll probably just use it to pay off some bills and meet my personal needs.
cool. All right. Michael, any more questions or thoughts from your side?
Yeah, just a general question to both of you, and maybe even you, Brandon. Just I'm new here, and I'm really excited and enthusiastic about what's happening here, this fractal democratic process. But so here's a question: so is there, if once the funds are distributed to a candidate, is there a way to track how that's actually being, like, if you're putting that money towards your own project, or in your case, Josh, you're saying you're going to redistribute that money to other projects? Like, is there just a way to track that, or are we not there yet?
So I'll speak first to that. We will, in Eden OS, the software that facilitates all of this eventually, we will have a way of clearly tracking all of that.
Cool.
However, that's not built yet. If you were paying attention to the first trial election, I think that Chris Barnes won that one. But then the level right under his winning, the board, they all got together and they released blog posts and updates and even a final report at the end of the week last week, talking about what they did with the funds, how they were spent, and just maintaining a very high level of accountability, really a high bar. I thought it was really great. That was all manual, and then I'll kick it over to you guys. I think it's a great question. How will you be accountable?
Yeah, I think Chris set the bar, so we would at least have to do that or better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Max?
mean, it's all on chain. I don't know what to say. No, yeah, as soon as I get it, I would, whatever I get, even if I get 10 EOS, I'm sending half to Vlad at Consortium. And then, yeah, I don't know how much a smaller amount would be useful for the other project, but yeah, I'll still deliver and publicly post it for the last quarter that I'm used for personal stuff. I um, might make some content around that as well, just for community enjoyment and criticism, future criticism.
I like it. Okay, we have 8 minutes left, guys. We should probably vote.
I do want to mention one thing real quick, just before we
Mhm.
run out of time. Max, if we could have a chance to maybe connect outside of this, I'd like to learn more about what's going on and where I could support and where there might be some crossover going on. And that way, in the next upcoming elections, I could probably help advocate for what's going on. So just in case we don't get a chance to cross paths again anytime soon, I wanted to mention that to you. So thank you.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right, let's vote. So I'll start out. My vote is going to go to Joshua this time around. And that's simply because so much of, well, number one, I think Graymass Aaron's team are incredible. I think that one of the biggest impediments to the use of blockchain technology, and even one that we have currently in Eden OS, is the sign in, sign out, onboarding, and just the whole signing setup and user management setup. I think it's one that needs to be solved. So I love that. Also the support of Chris and how Eden focused, Eden centric a lot of what you're saying is, Josh. That lends me to cast my vote to Josh. Michael.
Yeah, this is so cool. I love this process. Yeah, I also am going to go with Josh. It's a close call, guys. Really great to meet both of you, and I really respect the background and both of you have an attitude of building and doing things and really specifically going towards things that are needed in the EOS ecosystem. I guess also one of the main reasons is that Joshua, your support of making the sign-on experience easier for our EOS users is, I think, probably one of the most important things we could be doing right now. It's something I'm very interested in as well. It affects pretty much everything that's happening in the ecosystem. So, any extra support that can go there, especially at this early phase, I would think that, and also I get a sense that, Eden OS is new and probably later, Max, I would probably be even more interested in what you're working on, especially in the NFT space and BCI. I just feel like maybe the single sign-on is a little more significant at this time. That's the main core why I'm switching my vote to Joshua. Right. And I'm just curious, what would happen if we tied here?
Oh, if we tied, then you've got to have over 2/3 of the vote for any candidate to continue. So we would simply not have a representative if we tied.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Josh, who will your vote be going to?
Yeah, I am going to vote for myself. But if I wasn't wanting to advance aggressively in this particular election, I would totally be voting for you, Max. Just happens that I really want to participate all the way to the board in this one if I can. But again, please let's connect behind the scenes. I want to learn everything that's going on with the two projects that you mentioned and see what I can do to support those going forward.
And Max, over to you.
I think I'm going to vote for myself, even though I know I'm not winning this round. To be completely honest, I haven't seen like I want to hear more about what Josh has done and what he's delivered to other communities. I'm just not confident in that process yet. I mean, I saw a bunch of quotes from Aaron. Is there a commitment from Aaron? Has he said he will accept the money and build that? I didn't see that being demonstrated. So sorry, guys, I got to vote for myself on this one. But thanks for the conversation. I look forward to connecting with all you offline, and yeah, it's good to see people that are in the foreground and trying to build a inclusive community to bring in all types of people. So thank you guys for your hard work on this project as well. Thank you.
Well, and I want to say thank you, Max.
Thanks.
No worries.
Yee. All right. That's it. It sounds like some of you were still probably going at it, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Okay.
The 50 minutes, right? It's to kind of force a little urgency here to reach consensus. So please go ahead and go to the voting doc. I can put the link again. I've been granting everybody permission that has shown up, and I'll keep a good watch on it, obviously.
Dominic, did you get any feedback from people who said they got booted partway through or something?
I didn't see any of that. Booted during.
Yeah, Patrick from Nova Crypto was mentioning
Oh.
that. Randall Roland, yeah. Oh, maybe he's just got booted now though.
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
sure
everybody
about
got
my recording. Dominic, I think, do I need to leave this meeting to get
Yeah.
Zoom
Yeah. So
recording?
I'm gonna have to. Yeah. So I'll open it back up. Yes, because you usually have to leave, let it download. You know?
Okay, I'll do
Yeah.
that.
So
Thanks.
I unlock the meeting. People can come back.
So I think I'll do that as well, right? To be able to record the next round.
Well, you Well, you got to leave if you just recorded. If
No,
you're
I didn't